There's a moment that happens at every wedding reception. The groom stands at the altar, freshly married, smiling for the cameras. And somewhere in that room, there's always one guy sitting alone at a table, nursing a drink, no +1, completely unbothered. The married men at that wedding will spend the entire night stealing glances at him, not with pity, with something far more complicated. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this dynamic playing out across human civilization, and he understood what nobody wanted to admit. The man everyone congratulates might secretly be mourning what the man everyone pities still possesses. Freedom. Raw, uncompromised, terrifying freedom. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why married men lie awake at night thinking about the single life they left behind, why that envy runs deeper than anyone admits, and why Nietzsche believed that some cages are decorated so beautifully that people forget they're still cages. Maybe you're married and feeling something you're not supposed to feel. Or maybe you're single and about to discover why you should never let anyone convince you to give up what you have. Let me paint you a scene that happens in offices everywhere, every single Monday morning. Dave walks in talking about his weekend. Had to visit the in-laws again. Had to go to some kid's birthday party where he knew nobody. Had to watch a movie he didn't want to see because it was her turn to choose. Had to. Then James walks in, went hiking at sunrise, spent Saturday reading in a cafe until midnight, took a spontaneous road trip because why not? Sunday disappeared into a creative project that nobody approved and nobody questioned. Who had the better weekend? Everyone knows the answer. But here's what's fascinating. Dave will spend the next 10 minutes explaining why his weekend was actually great, why compromise is beautiful, why partnership means sacrifice. He's not trying to convince James. He's trying to convince himself. Nietzsche watched human beings do this their entire lives, justify their chains, romanticize their limitations, call their cage a home. And he asked one brutal question that nobody wants to answer. What if marriage isn't the achievement society claims it is? What if it's the compromise that civilization requires to function, but individuals suffer to maintain? Before you close this video in anger, before you tell me I don't understand love, before you list all the reasons marriage is beautiful, just answer one question honestly. When was the last time you did exactly what you wanted, when you wanted, how you wanted, without considering, consulting, or compromising with another human being? If you're married and you can't remember, Nietzsche knew why. And what he discovered will make you see your entire life differently. The married man envies the single man for reasons he'll never say out loud, because admitting envy means admitting mistake. And admitting mistake means facing a truth that could destroy everything he's built. So instead, he performs contentment while secretly wondering what if. Nietzsche said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. But marriage isn't just tribe. It's signing a contract that says you'll be overwhelmed willingly, permanently, legally." The single man represents something that terrifies the married man. Proof that the other path was possible. Proof that happiness doesn't require partnership. Proof that meaning can be found without merging your existence with someone else's expectations, needs, and limitations. This isn't about love. Love is real. This is about the institution that we've convinced ourselves love requires. Nietzsche saw through that confusion instantly. He understood that we've conflated love with obligation, passion with contract, connection with ownership. And once you make that conflation, you trap yourself in a paradox. You can have love or you can have freedom, but society tells you that you can't have both. The married man chose love, but late at night when his wife is asleep and the house is quiet and he's alone with thoughts he'll never share, he wonders about freedom. He wonders what the single man is doing right now. He wonders what his life would look like if he'd chosen differently. And that wondering, that secret envy, that's what this video is about. Stay with me, because what Nietzsche understood about human nature will reveal why that envy is not just normal, it's inevitable. Every married man remembers the exact moment freedom died. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't at the altar. It was smaller, quieter, more insidious. It was the first time he wanted to do something and realized he couldn't just do it anymore. He had to ask. Not ask permission. Married men will correct you on that. Ask if it works for her schedule, if it fits the budget they share, if it aligns with plans he didn't make. That moment when spontaneity became negotiation, that's when he felt it. The door closing. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But what happens when your why requires you to bear someone else's how every single day for the rest of your life?" But often it's just one person surrendering to keep the peace. He bears the social obligations to people he didn't choose, family gatherings that drain him, conversations about problems that aren't his problems but became his problems through proximity. He bears the financial decisions that aren't just his anymore, the career moves that need approval, the risks he can't take because someone else's security depends on his stability. And he bears it well. So well that he almost forgets he's bearing it. Until he sees the single man. The single man who just bought a plane ticket to anywhere because Tuesday felt boring. The single man who changed careers without consulting a committee. The single man who spent his entire paycheck on something ridiculous and does not have to explain it to anyone. That's when the married man feels it. That ghost of his former freedom. That echo of a life where his choices were his alone. Nietzsche understood something profound about human psychology. We don't envy what we've never had. We envy what we remember having. The married man doesn't envy some abstract concept of bachelor life. He envies specific memories. Friday nights with no plans and infinite possibility. Money that was his to spend without discussion. Time that belonged only to him, space, mental and physical, that nobody invaded with needs, expectations, or honey-do lists. He remembers being able to think without interruption, eat without accommodation, exist without performance. And when he sees the single man living that reality currently, not as memory, but as present tense experience, something inside him cracks. Not enough to break his marriage. Just enough to hurt. Nietzsche said, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." The married man traded his chaos for stability. He traded his dancing stars for mortgage payments and matching towels. That trade made sense at the time. Society applauded it. His parents celebrated it. His friends envied him then. But now, watching the single man live in beautiful chaos, creating dancing stars from the disorder of unconstrained existence, he wonders, was the trade worth it? He'll never ask that question aloud. He'll never admit to his wife that some part of him wishes he could undo it all. He'll never tell his friends that he lies awake sometimes imagining his alternate life. Because admitting envy is admitting failure. And his entire identity is built on the belief that marriage was success. But Nietzsche knew, the belief that something is success doesn't make it success. It just makes it easier to endure. Here's what nobody tells you before you get married. You don't just marry a person. You marry their entire ecosystem. Their family becomes your obligation. Their friends become your social circle. Their problems become your problems. Their moods become your weather. Their needs become your responsibility. The single man has none of this. When drama erupts, it's not his drama unless he chooses to engage. When family gatherings happen, he can skip them without betraying anyone. When problems arise, they're his problems with clear boundaries. He's not navigating someone else's emotional landscape while maintaining his own. He's not code switching between his authentic self and his relationship self. He's not performing partnership while privately craving solitude. Nietzsche observed, "In heaven, all the interesting people are missing." The married man lives in a kind of domestic heaven, peaceful, stable, predictable, and desperately boring. The single man lives on earth, messy and chaotic, uncertain and wildly alive. The married man sees this and feels something he can't name. It's not that he doesn't love his wife. He does. It's not that he wants to leave. He doesn't. It's that he misses being the main character in his own story. Marriage turned him into a supporting character in a shared narrative. Every decision is filtered through, will this affect us? Every opportunity is measured against, will this disrupt our stability? Every dream is tested against, is this practical for our situation? The single man is still the protagonist. His story belongs only to him. His decisions affect only him. His dreams are limited only by his courage, not by someone else's comfort level. The second reason married men secretly envy single men cuts even deeper. It's about truth. Nietzsche was obsessed with truth. He spent his life trying to get people to stop lying to themselves. And marriage, he understood, requires a specific kind of lie. The lie that you're still free. The married man tells himself he chose this. He chose commitment, chose partnership, chose love. And technically that's true. But Nietzsche would ask, did you choose it? Or did you surrender to the overwhelming pressure of a society that treats unmarried men as incomplete, suspicious, or immature? Did you choose it? Or did you reach an age where being single became harder to explain than being married? The single man, especially the single man who stays single past the age when marriage is expected, has answered these questions differently. He's chosen himself over social approval. He's prioritized freedom over fitting in. He's endured the concerned questions, the setup attempts, the implications that something must be wrong with him. And he's remained unmarried anyway. That requires a strength that the married man knows he didn't have. Because he folded, he surrendered to the pressure, he followed the script. And now he lives in a reality where he can never admit that surrender without destroying everything. The single man lives in truth. His life accurately reflects his choices. The married man lives in a lie he's committed to maintaining. His life reflects what was expected, not what was wanted. The third reason for this secret envy is something Nietzsche called the eternal recurrence. He asked, what if you had to live your exact life over and over again, forever, every moment repeated infinitely? Would you celebrate that prospect, or would it fill you with dread? The married man knows his answer. He knows that if he had to repeat this exact life eternally, the same conversations, the same compromises, the same Saturday morning trips to Home Depot, the same discussions about what to have for dinner, he would feel something close to horror. Not because his life is terrible, because his life is predictable. The mystery is gone. The possibility is gone. He knows what tomorrow looks like because tomorrow looks like today. The single man's life doesn't have that quality. His tomorrow is unknown. His next year could be completely different from this year. His decade ahead could involve transformations that married life doesn't permit. This uncertainty, this genuine not knowing what comes next, that's what the married man envies most. Because he does know what comes next. More of the same. The fourth source of envy is the most dangerous one to acknowledge: sexual reality. Nietzsche understood that civilization is built on the suppression of sexual energy. Marriage is the primary tool of that suppression. The married man is supposed to desire one person forever, exclusively, despite everything we know about human sexuality. He's supposed to find the same body exciting after years, decades of repetition. He's supposed to pretend that sexual novelty doesn't matter, that variety isn't encoded into his biology. The single man doesn't pretend any of this. He lives in sexual honesty. When he's attracted to someone, he can pursue that attraction without betrayal. When he desires novelty, he can experience it without guilt. The married man suppresses his attractions, denies that sexual monotony affects him, medicates his desire through porn and fantasy, and he watches the single man live in sexual truth, experiencing variety without shame, and something inside him screams. Not because he doesn't love his wife, because love and sexual desire are not the same thing, no matter how desperately we pretend they are. The fifth reason is about legacy and meaning. Nietzsche believed that the highest purpose of human existence was to create, to become, to transcend. The married man looks at his life honestly and sees maintenance. He's maintaining a household, maintaining a relationship, maintaining stability. This maintenance is necessary, valuable, but it's not creation. The single man is still in creation mode. His life is raw material waiting to be shaped. His time is his to invest in projects that might change everything or might fail spectacularly. His energy isn't divided between his dreams and someone else's needs. He can be selfish in the way that all great achievement requires. The married man can't do this. His obsessions have to be approved by committee. His sacrifices affect someone else. When he sees what the single man is building, when he watches someone pour undivided energy into becoming something remarkable, he feels it. The path not taken, the legacy not built, the version of himself that could have been. The sixth source of envy is about authenticity. Nietzsche spent his entire career trying to get people to become who they actually are, rather than who society tells them to be. He called this process becoming. Marriage is the ultimate conformity. Getting married is what you're supposed to do. It's the checkbox that signals you've achieved normal adult status. The married man checked that box, and in checking it, he stopped asking who he was becoming. He started asking how to be a good husband instead. Those are different questions entirely. The single man who stays single is still asking the becoming question. He hasn't settled into a role. He's still raw, still forming, still discovering what he actually is beneath all the conditioning. The married man sees the single man changing, evolving, transforming into someone new every few years. And he realizes he stopped transforming. He plateaued. He became husband and stayed there, frozen in that role, no longer becoming anything at all. The seventh reason for envy is about time itself. The married man spends enormous amounts of his finite time on maintenance tasks, maintaining the relationship, the household, the social obligations that marriage multiplies exponentially. None of this is wasted time exactly, but it's not alive time. It's time spent managing the machinery of domestic life. The single man's time belongs to him completely. Saturday isn't for errands we need to run together. It's for whatever calls to him in that moment. This ownership of time is the most fundamental freedom, because time is all we actually have. The envy comes when he calculates how much of his life has been spent on things he didn't choose but had to do because marriage required them. The single man kept those hours. He invested them in himself, in his interests, in becoming someone rather than maintaining something. The eighth and final reason is the most painful. It's about death. Not physical death, identity death. Marriage requires you to burn your single identity completely. You can't be husband while clinging to bachelor. The married man performed the identity death that society demanded. He let go of the person he was before. This is painful even when it's chosen. It's loss even when it's necessary. and it's permanent. The single man never performed this death. His identity remains fluid, continuous, uninterrupted. He didn't have to kill anyone to become something else. The married man sees this continuity and feels a grief he can't express. Part of him died, and the single man still has all his parts intact. That completeness, that unbroken continuity of self, that's what the married man envies most deeply. Here's what Nietzsche knew, and what every married man eventually discovers. You can't serve two masters. You can serve yourself, or you can serve the marriage. Most married men serve the marriage and call it love. But sometimes, in moments of brutal honesty, they recognize it as surrender. The single man didn't surrender. He held his ground. He kept his autonomy. He remained free. And that freedom, that refusal to give himself away, that's what married men think about when they're driving home from work, sitting in traffic, looking at the same route they'll drive for the next 30 years. They think about the single man who doesn't have a route, who might not come home at all tonight, who might change everything tomorrow. And they feel something they can't name, shouldn't feel, won't admit. Envy. Pure, complicated, deeply human envy. Not because their life is wrong, because another life is possible. And they chose this one before they fully understood what they were choosing. Drop your honest truth in the comments right now. Write simply, "I see the cage." And watch how that admission shifts something real inside you. Truth has power, and speaking it breaks chains. Subscribe immediately because you've just proven you're capable of honesty that most people avoid their entire lives. And this channel exists for people exactly like you. Hit the like button because this message needs to reach every man lying to himself about what he actually wants. Every person trapped in should when their craving could. Your engagement isn't for me. It's for the man watching this at 3 in the morning wondering if he's crazy for feeling what he feels. And here's what's coming in the next video. Another truth that will detonate everything you believe about human nature. Another perspective that philosophy buried because it was too dangerous for comfortable people. Another idea that will either liberate you completely or disturb you permanently. And you'll want to be here when that bomb drops because missing it means staying asleep. Stay free, stay honest, stay awake, or don't. But stop pretending you don't know what you actually want. Because that pretending, that's the real cage. And Nietzsche knew it.